gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video. So guys, if you're not aware, this is footage of Kai Cenat's giveaway in New York City. He brought the whole city out and it caused chaos.
Will be placed against you.
For those of you guys who don't know, Kai Cenat is a YouTuber, Twitch streamer, all that kind of stuff. And he got famous for doing dances and doing streams and, you know, just being funny. And I guess this is his fan base, the youth of New York City. And they are acting an ass, honestly. It's absolutely ridiculous. No home training. No respect for authority, trash in the streets. I mean, this is the new America, and it's scary.
We're tracking on the chaos in Union Square. This is right in the middle of Manhattan there in New York City tonight. This is during a giveaway event of some sort that a popular Twitch streamer was hosting. You're looking at some live pictures of a much calmer scene now, it would seem. At least we're not seeing the huge crowds we were seeing a little while ago as police have really converged on this area. But you see this was what we saw earlier, just this swarm of people there shoving each other, standing on cars, standing on food trucks, throwing things in some cases. And this all started with, as we said, a social media post, it seems. This is the story that Kai Cenat posted earlier today. The story is now deleted from his account. It was meant to be a big giveaway event, reportedly for a PlayStation or some gift cards, something like that. Our NBC station in New York is reporting just a while ago that Cenat is facing charges actually related to this whole situation. Now, we don't know what caused the chaos that we saw here to break out, but police...
So now they are facing charges. Now they're facing charges. It's crazy. Kai Cenat completely caused chaos, and I don't understand how he wouldn't see this coming, but now it looks like he's going to be held responsible.
Police are asking people to steer clear of this area. We understand the New York City subway system letting people know that a bunch of major train stations would be skipping, or trains would be skipping that station, that subway stop, because of the crazy things that are happening there, or were a while ago. Ron Allen is joining us now on the phone as he's made his way to that area, sort of toward Lower Manhattan. Ron, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do you know?
Well, there's still an awful lot of people down here, Aaron, and they're trying to disperse them. Huge numbers of police are here, and it's going well, and then it seems to be not going well in other places. You can see there's still some pushing and shoving going on between the police and the crowd. Just a massive amount of people down here about an hour or so ago for this impromptu social media organized giveaway by this influencer, and since then, we've seen a number of arrests. We've seen a number of things thrown around in the air. We've seen, we understand that he was arrested, Kai Cenat was arrested, and we're hoping to get more of a sense from the police of the overall situation. I'm standing on the edge of Union Square. There's a police barricade here. There's a steady stream of people, pedestrians and others, coming away from that area. But as you can see from the aerials over it, there are still a significant crowd there. This could go on for some time.
And this is in the middle of the streets. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And the police had no control of what was going on. I mean, it is not looking good for the youth.
The police are trying to do it section by section, are telling people that this is not going to happen. This giveaway is not going to happen. Word is spreading, and they're just trying to get people to move move away. We're standing here with a group of officers, more than a dozen of them. They seem to be going in waves. Some come out, some go in, as they try to just get order here in the heart of Manhattan. I guess that there was some warning about this event. There was obviously a lot of advertising about it, but why things went wrong and how they went wrong is still unclear. It seems as from what we're hearing, as soon as the giveaway was about to start, chaos erupted, and that was about an hour. Or
I feel like this was definitely induced. I mean, I think Kai Cenat knows what he's doing. He knows how much influence he has, for sure.
Or so or more ago. And here we are, again, with the police making some arrests. We don't know how many, and just trying to bring some order. And by getting people to just leave this area. At Union Square, as you know, it's a dense area on a good day. There's often protests down here. There's often gatherings down here, and it's peaceful. But today things definitely got out of control for some time, and police are trying to reestablish order. Aaron?
All right. Ron Allen for us in New York City today. Ron, thank you. We appreciate it.
A taxi cab. See people on top of a taxi cab that's moving as they're taking pictures of the crowd.
Yeah, so actually we're looking at Union Square West and Broadway right now, live pictures of that, and we can see the crowds on both sides of the street there.
Yeah, you see those people on the top of the taxi cab, right?
We see them around a taxi cab right now. So
and
then if we
on
pull
top
out
of the taxi cab going into the intersection of
what
Broadway
a mess.
and 14th Street.
What a real mess. I feel like I don't want to say goodbye to you quite yet, McGee, because we've got this live.
I mean, this is live footage here. I mean, what do you guys expect? The floodgates have been unleashed. These super teen gremlins are on demon time.
Picture up here. So let me just tell you what we're looking at. We're looking along Park Avenue there, and I feel like it's East 17th. I'm not 100% sure, but we're looking up the street at the intersection. Oh, there's a kid like on the back of a truck, of a white truck. So that's kind of the area we're looking at, McGee.
McGee, from your vantage point, are you able to see if police are able to get a handle on things? Because we see people just milling around, just walking around. It's a large crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I moved a block into the crowd.
Why would they expect the police to get a handle on this when they defunded the police? And if they did get a handle on anybody, then the police would be admonished.
Just to give you a better sense of it. And, I see older people walking around. It's a combination of like a mosh pit and a stampede. And then there's another part where people are just going about their lives in New York City. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I'm right at Union Square, East 14th, and Broadway. Whoa! Whoa! Everyone's turning around and running.
All right, well, McGee, you guys need to be safe out there. So can you get to somewhere safe?
See if the police... Wait, I'm going to get out of this crowd.
Yeah, we want you to stay safe before anything else, please.
Yes, I'm going to move out of this crowd.
Do you want to hang up so you can get somewhere?
I don't know what causes everyone to run away.
Well, I can tell you from that video we were seeing what looked like smoke. I don't know what that was. Maybe it was water, but it looked like smoke.
Say again? I'm sorry. I was
saying from that video, it looked like smoke. It could have been water, but it looked like smoke. Are you guys in a safe location, McGee?
All right. I'm standing right by. I'm on 14th Street, and more police officers coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see the police cars coming through right now.
Right.
So you're on 14th.
I'm going in the other direction, so I'm not in the middle. That was a really scary moment for me. All of a sudden, the crowd that I was walking where I'm seeing their back, and then all of a sudden they turn around and start running north.
Wow.
And that was when it was a little frightening for me because I wasn't sure what they were running from.
Well, I don't know, but I want you guys to make sure you're safe first and foremost. So we were looking at 17th Street, McGee, so we're a little bit north of you. But regardless, we see the crowds and we see the chaos and the unruliness. And
yes, and I just don't know, how does something like this get so out of hand?
Everyone's trying to get some pictures. That's what's happening.
Right.
And get some attention.
But did police know there was this video game giveaway, and did they have any idea of how large a crowd would show up?
Yeah, probably. I can't imagine this was a planned. Doesn't look like this was a planned event.
Right,
that's for sure.
No, it was actually. I mean, it was a planned event. That's why the woman I interviewed, she brought her two children down from.
Yeah, see, they don't even understand that this was orchestrated chaos. I think there was a more grim impetus for this giveaway. Kai Cenat knew what he was doing. This is crazy.
Washington Heights. Because it was a planned event.
No, but I'm wondering if it was.
Back. I'm here back with Nilda Cruz and her family. And they said, "Oh, I made it back. I just did a circle around." But this was a planned event. How long have you known about this? Yeah, they heard about it yesterday.
Okay.
They announced it on Tuesday.
Okay.
And that's when, there had to be enough time for people to get here. Bottles are being thrown right now, I'm being told.
All right.
And the people I'm with in Washington Heights, Nilda Cruz and her family, they can't go anywhere because the trains have been shut down. But we're here in a safe place.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Bottles are being thrown like half a block away.
I have to imagine there's some arrests being made today as police try to get this thing under control.
Breaking down in Union Square. There's an unruly crowd that's been gathering, although within the last few moments, the NYPD moved in and appears to have calmed things down. News 4's Gus Rosendale's been looking at this. What do we know about this, Gus?
All right, David, Natalie, we've been monitoring the situation over the last couple of minutes here. We do know, as you talked about, a large crowd gathering in Union Square there. Our understanding is that this was something that's set off by a social media influencer, an influencer known by the name of Kai Cenat, according to police, who was giving away PlayStations. Initially, 300 people had gathered in Union Square, and as you can see live there from Shop Before, the crowd has gathered. At this point, it does seem like the situation has calmed down a bit, but just a little bit earlier, as some people are still running there, but this is a scene a little bit earlier. You can see people in the crowd throwing what appears to be garbage at police officers as police pull away some barricades that have been torn down by members of that crowd. A closer look at some of that debris being thrown at members of law enforcement. At this point, the police...
And that is the overall sentiment of the youth toward law enforcement because of the summer of 2020. And it's only getting worse. There is no law and order. Mayor Eric Adams has completely dropped the ball, and I don't expect things to get better in New York City anytime soon.
Are saying there is a large presence along East 14th Street, and people are being urged to avoid that area. Bear in mind, that's a major transit hub as well, and so there are also transit delays as well at this point there in Union Square. This back now to live pictures, and we can see the crowd going back and forth there. Police obviously very much outnumbered by this crowd, initially starting in the hundreds, though I dare say we've probably hit the 1,000 mark at the 4 o'clock hour here. The crowd, it seemed at one point, the police seemed to have it under control. There seemed to be in flux at this point. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, this unruly crowd gathering Union Square initially as a game station giveaway that had been organized online. People have been urged to come down by the organizer. Many people did, and now at this point the crowd has gathered and at times has turned somewhat violent, throwing things at members of law enforcement and also updoing the barricades that have been set up in that area. At this point, no word of any injuries or anything like that. Do hasten to say this is still, as you can see, very much a developing situation. Police advising people to stay away from Union Square at this point. Also keeping an eye on the transit delays this situation there may incur as well. David and Natalie will continue to follow this in the newsroom and bring you updates during our newscast today.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe, hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga did Quavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all killing me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take
What
all your
more do you want from me?
Most extraordinary is that this all began to start around 1:30 this afternoon with some social media posts by this media influencer who has about 5 million followers, and that by 3 o'clock the crowd had surged to a couple of thousand, and police were mobilizing to respond, and by 4 o'clock things started to really get pretty ugly out there, according to the chief of department, that the crowd surged, breaking into what was a construction zone around the Union Square subway station, and some people there were armed themselves with everything from axes to rocks to paint cans, and amid the crowd things began to fly, and that's described some of the injuries. According to the fire department, no one transported by ambulance, at least early on, so at least the injuries described not severe. We're still going to check with some of the area hospitals to see if they had walk-ins. But again, some of the officers were trampled. Some of the officers were injured, hit by rocks and debris.
And look at all those people. It's like half of them got Pooh Shiesty mask, Pooh Shiesty mask, Pooh Shiesty mask on.
So the pictures that show a lot of the pushing, the shoving, and as we saw earlier, some of the debris that was flying, obviously hitting many in that crowd, including officers, causing some minor injuries and numerous injuries. As for the number of arrests, Chief Madry said they're still tallying them up. But he talks about, as you pointed out, Natalie, a busload of arrestees, and then the crowd literally tried to attack the bus to try to free them. That, according to the chief of department during this briefing. And we did speak with a police spokesman who said there were a couple of dozen arrests, perhaps as many as 40. The social media influencer, Kai Cenat, is in custody. He is being questioned. And as you heard from the chief of department, a determination will be made whether he will be charged inciting a riot, one of the ideas being contemplated, according to the chief of department during that first and preliminary press briefing. The NYPD mobilized its highest level of mobilization. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of officers called into Manhattan South and the Union Square area to try to help restore some sense of order as the crowd not only gathered in Union Square, but then dispersed and were moving along side streets, and they're still following some of those crowds at this hour. But most of Union Square now cleared as police try to get an assessment. But again, this social media.
And just look at how much chaos this one man caused. Oh, man. I mean, this could have ended way worse.
Event, not coordinated in advance, not pre-planned, and it just shows the power of social media that one individual with millions of followers could promise a giveaway, and thousands of people showing up in Union Square.
Yeah, and that is crazy because you don't know what could have happened. You could have had different ops from different hoods see each other, spot them, got them, spin the block. And now we've got multiple different active shootings going on. This is extremely dangerous for Kai Cenat to do. And, you know, I was on his side for a long time. This I cannot support. And I think that, you know, he can come back. He can have a redemption moment, obviously. But, I mean, bro, you got to start thinking.
Causing the chaos we saw this afternoon.
And Jonathan, we know the NYPD ramped up their social media monitoring for terrorism and anti-terrorism efforts. Now the chief's saying we may have to take a look. There may be another chapter in law enforcement. All right, we've had crews positioned out to see the dispersal, talk to some of the young people. Checky Beckford is in Union Square. Checky?
Yeah, and we've seen hundreds of young people coming this way, just a couple of blocks west of Union Square Park, as the crowds were dispersing, police forcing the crowds to disperse from that area. We actually saw a couple of them come by just a few seconds ago talking about how it was a party over there. In general, though, that's not what we've been hearing from most of the people who were in Union Square, who went there for those free PS5 units and gift certificates. They say, as you take a look down the street here, down toward Union Square Park, where we see police lights still flashing, mounted units standing at the perimeter. People tell us that they went for that reason, but it turned into something they couldn't have imagined. They say that people were pushing and shoving. We talked to one man who says that he was pushed to the ground. His face had a visible cut on it. As you heard the chief of department mention, a lot of people were hurt in all of this, bleeding from the head, walking, or people had panic attacks that he noticed. He himself was injured, pushed to the ground as well, which he said he was somewhat embarrassed about. Just a truly chaotic scene. And here we go from one of the people who we talked to, who was a witness, who describes what happened. Take a listen.
People standing on top of subway stations, and they were just trying to get wherever they want. It was no, cars could not move.
And I mean, were they involved with this too? Like, we've seen plenty of clips of sisters twerking on cars at this event. So, I mean, it doesn't look like she's necessarily upset. It almost looks like she's elated or excited that this happened. Hopefully, she condemns the actions of her peers, but it's a tough one.
Yeah. Could not move. The traffic had stopped completely.
Everybody was doing everything, climbing thing. They even climbed where they was doing the train stop. And I was like, they started throwing paint, fire hydrant everywhere. Dust was everywhere, garbage is everywhere, paint is everywhere. I was scared, honestly.
And you heard that witness mention people throwing paint. Well, as the chief of department mentioned, those crowds had gotten into a construction site there in Union Square Park and taken some of that paint. They'd taken things like shovels and even axes, we're told, and were using them, throwing them at each other, at police. That scene, just one that was totally unbelievable. The chief of department saying that they've encountered scenes like this before, but nothing to this level of danger where young people were not heeding those warnings from police, when police warned them over and over again to leave the scene. We're live near Union Square. Checky Beckford, News 4, New York.
All right, Checky, thank you. Yes, the police chief of department, they're also talking about how they have to go back and check on their officers to see what those injuries were, because a lot of them just stayed there on scene.
Including himself, he said.
Including himself. And he also said some of those kids had walked out having panic attacks. It's just an intense situation. Let's get out to Jessica Cunnington live where all that action was going on earlier. Looks pretty cleared out now, Jess.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you just got a really great sum up of what we just heard from Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry about what exactly unfolded here. I mean, it absolutely got out of control, and he really admitted that and said that they're going to really be looking into moving forward how to really prevent something like this from happening ever again. I want to show you some video from earlier. I mean, we were right in the middle of it, and specifically, we witnessed those the fireworks that went off at different points. And they said inside the park, you know, this was really not only people in the crowd versus each other, it was also people versus officers, some officers injured, a lot of young people with minor injuries as well. But this definitely escalated, and I spoke to multiple young people about what they expected to get out of today, and then what, of course, happened once they got here. Take a listen with one witness here.
We did not expect for this many people to be out here. It's crazy. And for all this chaos and commotion to be going on, it's like, it's insane. The moment it changed when people were throwing like bottles at like the police and stuff. When the Banes, I heard the two Banes, it was like, that's when things got a little crazy.
Yeah, I see people throwing water, and that's all. People jumping on top of cars, windows breaking.
Isn't this snitching though? Like, I'm not understanding if isn't this turning a witness?
Yeah, Yeah, so those are just some of the examples of what people witnessed during really the height of the chaos here that happened in the park. Obviously, right now, we are not seeing any of the crowds in this immediate area. You're taking a look at all the debris and kind of damage to that construction area that's left behind right by the Union Square subway station. But as the chief said, really what happened today, it definitely speaks to the power of social media and also the danger of social media. We will send it back to you live from Union Square.
Yeah, all too clear. All right, Jessica, thank you. There is an ongoing law enforcement effort tied to this as the crowds disperse. Let's get to Miles Miller, who's also near Union Square. Miles?
That's right. We are at about 16th Street and Union Square, and you can see here they've still got the park closed down for right now. They've done a lot to disperse this area. A lot of the officers who came in from around the city are being turned back to their commands at this point, but you can see just a crush of police who came out here to try to control these crowds. Now, they've done a good job of pushing everybody out of the area south and north, and at this point, what they'll do is try to get any remaining people who were in that crowd out of the area, but they've reopened the streets here, traffic flowing again, and they've got a handle of this situation. I'll send it back to you.
Miles.
So here's the police response to the chaos. Let's listen up.
We were in there. We were crushed. We were pushed. I had officers on the floor. As you see, I'm a little embarrassed because I'm very dirty right here, but I was in the middle of the crowd. I was hit with multiple objects as well. I think I have a couple of injuries, but I'll figure that out once I have time to think about it.
So look how chaotic this was. Kai Cenat, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So the police officers are going to be okay. This could have been a whole lot worse. There was no extreme violence. There was no shooting that happened in the middle here. However, people were scared because they heard loud explosions.
Yeah, and I mean, because that is very possible. It's very possible that that could have happened, right? Like I explained before, ops seeing ops. We live in an op culture. Could have slid the block. It's active like that in New York.
Possibly smoke bombs or firecrackers, but there were no shots fired at any point. Police were not able to give us an update about how many people were actually hurt or transported to the hospital, nature of injuries. However, there are businesses that surround Union Square Park. All of them essentially shut down now for the night because they were fearful that there could be some looting happening. So these businesses, normally bustling Friday night, now shut down for the foreseeable future. People were taking refuge inside some of these businesses. We heard about a mother and a baby trapped inside a local bank for 2 hours while the situation calmed down. So you can imagine the folks who are just going about their normal Friday afternoon when the swarm of people just enveloped the area and overwhelmed them.
Woo! And yeah, I mean, that huge crowd of that many super teen gremlins on demon time can be extremely overwhelming.
Despite all of this, it's really miraculous that this wasn't a whole lot worse in terms of injuries. But again, there are plenty of arrests that have been made at this point.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away!